the muscles of the body. It can cause your paralysis. Since ang hinahanap natin is immediate intervention, so we focus on the priority, which is your ABCs. Your airway, your breathing, and of course, your circulation. Among all the four, saan dyan ang makakaapekto sa airway, sa breathing, at sa circulation ng pasyente, or actually the airway pa lang? It's your letter D. It's letter D. The client has a congested cough and dysphagia. Now, ang sinasabi lang kasi nito, kapag yung patient mo mayroon na siyang congested cough at difficulty in swallowing, the paralysis is actually already on the lungs of the patient. Now, kapag yung patient mo completely paralyzed na ang lungs, ang kanyang diaphragm, hindi na makakahinga yung pasyente mo. Okay? Mas importante pa rin ang airway at breathing kasi kahit na anong intervention ang ibigay mo dyan, kapag yung pasyente mo hindi humihinga, mamamatay yung pasyente mo. Okay? So, another tip para mas madali niyong maintindihan or mas madali niyong ma-answeran ang mga immediate intervention or priority questions natin, always answer this question. Who dies first? Okay? Now, alam naman natin, A, B, C, and D, lahat yan pwedeng mangyari dun sa patient nating may multiple sclerosis, pero ang priority talaga natin dyan is yung congested na cough and dysphagia. Okay? Kasi there's a possibility hindi makahinga yung pasyente, hindi makakahinga yung pasyente, there's a possibility na ikamatay yun ng pasyente mo. Okay? So, letter D dies first. Number 1 is letter D. Screenshot in 1, 2, and 3. Next number. Nicole, 30-year-old female client, is admitted with complaints of numbness, tingling, and a crawling sensation affecting the extremities, and double vision, which has occurred 2 times in the month. Which question is most important for the nurse to ask the client? Now, nakikita natin yung pasyente, meron daw siyang numbness, tingling, crawling sensation. So, pwede nating isipin na baka meron siyang paralytic disorder. Okay? Baka pwede siyang may paralytic disorder. Now, para ma-confirm natin yung diagnosis natin kung meron ba talaga siyang paralytic disorder, ang isa sa mga tatanungin natin dyan is letter C. Do you get tired easily and sometimes have problems swallowing? Okay? That's how we try to complete the picture of my multiple sclerosis. Okay? Wala kasing kinalaman si menstrual cycle, wala din kinalaman si birth control pills to your multiple sclerosis. Okay? Yung rash across the bridge of the nose, we also call it as your butterfly or your malar rash. Usually nakikita natin to for patients with SLE or your systemic lupus erythematosus. Yes, you're correct. Very good. Okay? So, for us to complete the picture of multiple sclerosis, your answer is letter C. Also, ang situation natin, di ba, is multiple sclerosis. So, we focus on multiple sclerosis. Number 2 is letter C. Screenshot in 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Next, number 3. The 45-year-old client, Ashley, is diagnosed with primary progressive multiple sclerosis, and the nurse writes a nursing diagnosis anticipatory grieving related to progressive loss. Which intervention should be implemented? Now, ang multiple sclerosis kasi natin, it actually has no cure. Okay? Meron tayong pwedeng ibigay na medications, but it only disrupts or it only slows down the progression of multiple sclerosis, but eventually multiple sclerosis will lead to death. In a span of 5 to 10 years, mamamatay pa rin yung pasyente mo. Kahit nagbibigay ka ng treatment, nagbibigay ka ng immunoglobulins, mga ganyan, nagbibigay ka ng medications for multiple sclerosis, the endpoint pa rin ng pasyente natin is pwede nilang ikamatay yung sakit. Because, once again, it has no cure. Okay? Kaya usually, ang ating priority diagnosis for patients with multiple sclerosis is your anticipatory grieving related to progressive loss. Okay? Since anticipatory grieving ang yung nursing diagnosis, so you have to focus on anticipatory grieving and the interventions that we can give to address anticipatory grieving. And that is actually letter D. Discuss the client's wishes regarding end-of-life care. Kasi sabi ko nga, kahit na anong ibigay mo na medications for patients with multiple sclerosis, at the end, mamamatay pa rin yung pasyente. Okay? So pag-usapan na lang natin yung ating end-of-life care. Ano yung gusto mo at ayaw mo mangyari the moment na hindi ka na makapagsalita, the moment na nakumatos na yung patient, ano yung ayaw niya at gusto niyang mangyari. For example, yung patient mo nag-code, gusto pa ba niyang ma-resuscitate? Gusto pa ba niyang ma-intubate or hindi na? Okay? Para lang din hindi mahirapan yung family niya. Kasi 'di ba magiging dilemma yan ng family the moment na nakumatos na yung pasyente. Parang ang magiging term nila diyan parang sino ba naman tayo para patayin yung pasyente, mga ganyan. Para at least hindi sila mahirapan sa decision making, kumuha na tayo ng consent from the patient kung anong gusto at ayaw niyang mangyari during the time na makomatose siya. Okay? Since anticipatory grieving ang nursing diagnosis mo, you have to focus your intervention towards anticipatory grieving, which is letter D. Okay? Wala namang kinalaman si assistive devices kasi ang focus mo is your anticipatory grieving. Kung sana ang focus mo is your physical immobility, pwede si letter A. Determine if the client has a legal power of attorney. Mas maganda sana ang ating special power of attorney compared to your legal power of attorney. Ang SPA kasi natin or yung special power of attorney, yan yung kapag sinabi nating special power of attorney, yan yung gagawin mong ano ba? Mag magde-decide ka ng isang tao, point person, magkakaroon ka ng isang point person, yung point person mo na to, siya decides for you. Okay? Pag SPA, mas maganda si SPA compared kay legal power of attorney. Kay legal power of attorney kasi ang hawak niya lang is yung mga assets, liabilities mo, kung saan mapupunta yung pera mo, saan mapupunta yung mga ari-arian mo, ganyan lang. Pero the moment na medical decisions, walang pakialam si legal power of attorney. Kaya kapag hospital setting, mas maganda si SPA or our special power of attorney para at least meron kang itatalaga na isang tao para mag-decide para sa mga medical needs mo. Okay? Ask if the client would like to talk to the hospital chaplain. This is actually your passing the buck. Okay? Kaya ayaw natin siyang answer kasi pinapasa mo yung problema sa ibang tao. Kaya mo namang i-deal with yan. Okay? So number 3 is letter D. Okay, screenshot this and 1, 2, and 3. Next, number 4. The client diagnosed with an acute exacerbation of multiple sclerosis is placed on high-dose intravenous injections of corticosteroid medications, which nursing intervention should be implemented. Now, yung patient daw natin naka-corticosteroid medications. Now, bakit tayo nagbibigay ng corticosteroid medications sa patient nating may multiple sclerosis? Now, ang multiple sclerosis kasi, it is autoimmune in nature. Okay? Ang meaning ng autoimmune, sinisira ng sarili nating immune systems yung ating sariling nerves. So, nagbibigay tayo ng corticosteroid kasi ang corticosteroids natin, they are immunosuppressants. Okay? They suppress the immune system para hindi na atakihin ng sarili nating immune system yung ating nerves para ma-prevent or ma-decrease natin yung effects ng multiple sclerosis. Now, anong alam natin sa mga corticosteroid medications, di ba? Ang corticosteroids, natin, it actually increases your 3S. Okay? It increases your sex, your sugar, and your salt. Sex through the effect of your androgen, sugar through the effects of your mineralocorticoids, and salt, sorry, baliktad. Mineralocorticoids natin is sa salt. Yan. And then sugar natin is your glucocorticoids. Corticoids. So technically, ang isa sa mga chinecheck dapat natin dyan, isa-isahin natin yung choices. Letter A, discuss discontinuing the proton pump inhibitor by the healthcare provider. We do not discontinue your PPI kasi always remember, corticosteroid medications aside, ang isa sa mga side effects niya is it is a gastric irritant. Kaya usually sinasabay talaga natin ang PPI or mga proton pump inhibitors, antacids natin for your corticosteroid medications para hindi magkaroon ng ulcer yung pasyente mo. Next, hold the medication until after all cultures have been obtained. Kailan tayo nagtitake ng cultures? Kapag mga antibiotic medications, hindi kapag mga corticosteroids. So, hindi natin kailangan ng cultures for corticosteroids. Letter C, monitor the client's serum blood glucose levels frequently. That is your correct answer. Kasi sabi ko nga, there's a tendency na tumaas ang kanilang sugar through the effect of your glucocorticoids. Okay? So, kailangan monitor natin sila, baka kasi mag-hyperglycemia sila. Risk for hyperglycemia. Provide supplementary dietary sodium with the client's meals. Kailangan pa ba niya ng sodium or kailangan niyang bawasan ng sodium? Actually, kailangan niyang bawasan. So we do not provide your supplementary dietary sodium because mataas na ang kanyang salt due to the effect of your mineralocorticoids. Number 4 is letter C. Screenshot this in 1, 2, and 3. Okay, wag na yan. Next, we have your GBS or Guillain-Barré syndrome. Now, kapag pinag-uusapan natin Guillain-Barré syndrome, it is also an autoimmune disorder affecting the peripheral nerves naman. Kapag Guillain-Barré syndrome, ano ang paralysis niya? Upward or downward? Is it upward or ascending paralysis? Yes, you're correct. That's ascending paralysis. Kataas ang kanyang paralysis. So it starts on the feet going towards the head. So, ang another way for us to memorize easily your Guillain-Barré syndrome is to say it GBS, di ba? That is your galing baba. Galing baba syndrome or your paralysis comes from the feet going towards the head. Okay, let's go. Number 5, a female client is admitted to the hospital who has a diagnosis of Guillain-Barré syndrome. The nurse asks during the nursing admission interview if the client has a history of. Now, ang mga patient kasi natin na may Guillain-Barré syndrome, although ang Guillain-Barré syndrome natin is idiopathic or wala pa silang nakikita na pinaka-reason kung ba't tayo nagkakaroon ng GBS or wala pa tayong nakikitang cause, ang isa sa mga risk factors na nakita nila is actually your viral illnesses. Okay? Viral illnesses, which is your letter D. Bakit? Ganito. Ang mga viral illnesses kasi natin, especially example natin is your Epstein-Barr virus. Isa to sa mga nakikita nila na pinaka nagkakos talaga ng GBS natin is your Epstein-Barr virus. Ang Epstein-Barr virus kasi kapag yan pumasok sa katawan natin, magka-create yung katawan natin ng antibodies. Tama, against the Epstein-Barr virus para labanan niya yung Epstein-Barr virus. However, si Epstein-Barr virus kasi meron tayong tinatawag niya, meron siyang ability to have your protein mimicry. Okay? Meron kasi tayong tinatawag na protein mimicry or kayang gayahin ni Epstein-Barr virus yung proteins ng ating neurons. Mimics proteins of peripheral nervous system. It mimics the proteins of the peripheral nervous system. So kapag gumagawa ng antibodies yung katawan natin against the Epstein-Barr virus, gumagawa din siya technically ng antibodies against yung ating peripheral nervous system kasi ginaya ni Epstein-Barr virus yung proteins ni PNS. Kaya tayo nagkakaroon ng Guillain-Barré syndrome. Kaya usually ang isa sa mga risk factor in the developing of your Guillain-Barré syndrome is actually your viral illnesses. Letter D. Kaya ang tatanungin mo dyan, nagkaroon po ba kayo ng mga viral infection in the past month? For example, cough and colds, diarrhea, mga ganyan. Kasi pwedeng yun ang nag-cause ng kanyang GBS. Okay, number 5 is letter D. Screenshot in 1, 2, and 3. 6. A 25-year-old presents to the ER with unexplained paralysis from the hips downward. The patient explains that a few days ago, her feet were feeling weird and she had trouble walking, and now she is unable to move her lower extremities. The patient reports suffering an illness about 2 weeks ago but has no other health history. The physician suspects Guillain-Barré syndrome and orders some diagnostic tests, which finding below during your assessment requires immediate nursing action. Now, meron na naman tayong ditong requires immediate nursing action. So, ang hinahanap na naman natin dito is for your prioritization. Okay? Prioritization na naman ang ating hinahanap dito. So, always remember, basta mga paralytic disorders, it is always the respiratory system na ating focus. Okay? Always focus on respiratory system. So, ang priority mo talaga dyan is actually letter B. The patient has a weak cough. Now, kahit weak cough pa lang yan, affected na kasi yung respiratory system mo. Ang meaning lang kasi kaya siya nagkaroon ng weak cough is baka nag-ascend na yung infection towards doon sa patient, doon sa diaphragm ng patient natin or doon sa lungs ng patient natin. Kaya hindi na siya makapag-cough properly. Now, imagine, kapag ang patient mo weak ang kanyang cough, mas mahirap niyang ma-expel ang bacteria, ma-expel ang mga allergens na pumapasok sa respiratory system niya. Kaya kapag yung patient mo, mahina ang kanyang cough reflex or mahina yung kanyang pag-cough, there is a tendency na magkaroon siya ng bacterial infection causing naman harm to the respiratory system of the patient. Okay? Basta always remember, sa lahat ng paralytic disorders, myasthenia gravis, multiple sclerosis, Guillain-Barré syndrome, Parkinson's disease, mga ganyan, it is always a priority ang kanilang respiratory system. Kaya kahit weak cough pa lang yan, dapat it causes already a concern to us as nurses. Okay? Number 6 is letter B. Screenshot in 1, 2, and 3. Next, A patient with Guillain-Barré syndrome has a feeding tube for nutrition. Before starting the scheduled feeding, it is essential the nurse select all that apply. It is a SATA question, so dapat meron kang more than one na answer. Letter A, assess the bowel sounds, tama or mali? It's actually positive, 'di ba? Before nga kayo mag-feed, before kayo mag-NGT feeding, 'di ba? Naglalagay muna kayo diyan ng asepto syringe, tapos binoblow niyo ng air, tapos pinapakinggan niyo yung tiyan ng pasyente kung may burburigmy sounds. Tapos kung positive siya, kung may narinig kang bowel sounds dun sa pasyente mo, then proceed with the feeding. Okay? So that is a correct answer. Next, letter B. Keeps the head of the bed less than 30 degrees. Kapag kayo nagpapakain ng pasyente, dapat ba less than or more than 30 degrees ang head of the bed mo? It should be more than, hindi less than. Kapag less than kasi, less than 30 degrees ang nilagay mo dun sa bed ng pasyente mo tapos pinakain mo siya, there's actually a risk for aspiration. Okay, next. Checks for gastric residual. That is also a correct answer. Now, kapag kayo nag-NGT feeding, kapag kayo nagpo-provide ng NGT feeding, dapat nag-aspirate kayo ng gastric contents. Now, bakit tayo nag-aspirate ng gastric residual? Kapag kasi more than 100 ml, ang na-aspirate mong gastric residual ng pasyente mo, you have to hold the feeding. Hold the feeding and return aspirate. Okay? Kailangan ibalik mo din yung na-aspirate mo dun sa tiyan ng pasyente kasi most probably baka acid yung na-aspirate mo from dun sa tiyan ng pasyente mo. Ibalik mo yung acid para hindi ka mag-metabolic alkalosis. Okay? You don't have to weigh the patient before tube feeding. Okay? So your answer is letter A and letter C. Kapag less than 100 naman, kapag less than 100 yung gastric residual mo, you have to proceed with the feeding. Number 7 is letter A and letter C. Screenshot this on 1, 2, and 3. Number 8. You're about to send the patient for a lumbar puncture to help rule out Guillain-Barré syndrome. Before sending the patient, you will have the patient. Now, ang mga patient nating maglo-lumbar puncture, di ba? Yan yung tutusukin nila yung lumbar area natin sa likod. So, para silang magsa-spinal anesthesia or your sub. Or para kang mag-epidural block. Okay? Kaya, usually, ang mga patient natin na for lumbar puncture, tutusukin kasi natin yung likod ng pasyente mo. Kapag lumbar puncture ang pinag-uusapan natin for the patient, kailangan paihiin natin yung pasyente. Okay? You have to allow the patient to void before the lumbar puncture. Okay? Now, pag-usapan natin to on the next slide. Number 8 is letter C. Ay, sorry, wala nang next slide. Now, there's a tendency kasi, for example, di ba, ang ating bladder kasi para siyang balloon. Kapag punong-puno yan ng tubig, nag-expand siya para siyang balloon. There is a tendency kasi na kapag kayo nag-lumbar puncture, there's a tendency na ma-puncture natin yung bladder ng pasyente natin. Kapag na-puncture natin yung bladder ng pasyente, mag-leak ang tubig sa loob, pwede kang mag-cause ng infection, pwede kang mag-cause ng fluid volume overload. And one more thing, pwede mong masira yung bladder ng pasyente mo. Okay? Kaya before the lumbar puncture, dapat pinapaihi muna natin yung pasyente for us to prevent or decrease the risk of bladder puncture. Number 8 is letter C. Screenshot this and 1, 2, and 3. Next is myasthenia gravis. A patient with myasthenia gravis will be eating lunch at 12 p.m. It is now 10 a.m. and the patient is scheduled to take pyridostigmine. At what time should you administer this medication so the patient will have the maximum benefit of this medication? Now, ang pyridostigmine natin, this is your drug of choice for patients with myasthenia gravis. Ano ba ang pyridostigmine? Pyridostigmine falls under the classification of your anticholinesterase. Tama. Falls under the classification of your anticholinesterase. Now, bakit kailangan ng patient nating may myasthenia gravis ang anticholinesterase? Ang mga patient kasi nating may myasthenia gravis, ang main problem talaga nila is mababa ang kanilang acetylcholine. Mababa ang acetylcholine nila causing muscle weakness. Acetylcholine kasi is responsible for muscle contraction. Okay? So, mababa ang kanilang acetylcholine, nagbibigay tayo ng anticholinesterase. Now, let us try to divide anticholinesterase. Kapag sinabi nating anti, it prevents or stops. Cholinesterase, choline naman, falls under your acetylcholine. Kapag nakakakita naman kayo ng suffix na ASE, it means breakdown. So kapag iintindihan natin ng anticholinesterase, it actually means it prevents the breakdown of acetylcholine. So meaning, pinapataas niya ang acetylcholine sa katawan ng isang pasyente natin. Kaya anticholinesterase ang binibigay natin for patients with myasthenia gravis para ma-prevent natin ang breakdown ng acetylcholine, mapataas natin ang acetylcholine ng ating mga pasyente. Okay? So now, okay. Yung patient daw natin, kakain siya ng lunch at 12 p.m. It is now 10 a.m. Kailan mo daw ibibigay si pyridostigmine? Mas maganda, ibigay mo siya 1 hour before the patient eats, or letter C. 1 hour before the patient eats muna. Okay? 1 hour before the patient eats, bakit? Now, ah, ipapag-work muna natin yung gamot. Okay? Bibigyan muna natin ng 1 hour yung gamot para ma-digest or fully absorb sa katawan ng pasyente mo. Kapag fully absorb na yan sa katawan ng pasyente mo, mas gagana na yung anticholinesterase natin. Kaya binibigyan natin siya 1 hour before the meals para at least kapag kakain na siya, nag-work na yung kanyang anticholinesterase, lumalakas na yung pasyente, mas madali na siyang makanguya, makaswallow. Okay? Kaya kapag mga medications natin for paralytic disorders, binibigay natin talaga siya an hour before the patient eats or an hour before the patient does an activity. Para at least malakas yung pasyente, makakagalaw siya properly, mas madali siyang makagalaw because of the work of the medication. Okay? So letter C ang answer natin. So usually, how long will it take for anticholinesterase to work? It's actually after 30 minutes to an hour. 30 minutes to an hour. Okay? Kaya usually binibigyan natin siya 1 hour or 30 minutes before the client eats. Number 9 is letter C. Screenshot this in 1, 2, and 3. Next, number 10. The neurologist is conducting a tensilon test or edrophonium test at the bedside of a patient who is experiencing unexplained muscle weakness, double vision, difficulty breathing, and ptosis, which finding after the administration of edrophonium would represent the patient as myasthenia gravis. Now, kapag myasthenia gravis ang pinag-uusapan natin, ptosis is the first sign of myasthenia gravis. That is the first sign of myasthenia gravis, ptosis. Now, sabi dito, nagbigay daw tayo ng tensilon test. Are you familiar with your tensilon test? Tensilon test is also known as your edrophonium test. Kapag tensilon test ang pinag-uusapan natin, ang tensilon kasi, this is your fast-acting anticholinesterase. Now, kapag binigay natin ng tensilon sa pasyente natin na nakaka-experience ng muscle weakness, double vision, ptosis, difficulty of breathing, tapos, for example, nagbigay ka ng edrophonium or tensilon, nagbigay ka, tapos biglang lumakas yung pasyente mo, meaning positive siya for myasthenia gravis. Letter D. Okay? Kapag naman, for example, nagbigay ka ng tensilon, tapos biglang humina yung pasyente mo, kapag siya naman humina, ang problem naman ng patient mo, if uh, if further weakness ang nangyari sa pasyente mo, there's a possibility na meron naman siyang cholinergic crisis. Masyado namang mataas na ang kanyang acetylcholine sa kanyang katawan. Okay? So kapag nagbigay ka ng edrophonium sa patient mo, dalawa lang ang pwedeng mangyari sa pasyente. Kapag siya biglang lumakas, meaning positive siya for myasthenia gravis. Kapag siya biglang humina, baka nagko-cholinergic crisis yung pasyente mo. Okay? So yun. Ang ating diagnostic test for myasthenia gravis is your tensilon test. Number 10 is letter D. Screenshot this in 1, 2, and 3. Number 11. Which patient below is most at risk for developing a cholinergic crisis? Now, nasabi ko na sa inyo kanina, kapag cholinergic crisis, masyadong madaming anticholinesterase. Too much too much anticholinesterase. From the word itself, cholinergic crisis, masyadong madaming acetylcholine. So, ang patient natin na most at risk for developing your cholinergic crisis is a patient who reports taking too much of their anticholinesterase medication. Masyado siyang madaming ininom na anticholinesterase, masyado namang madaming nagpupul na acetylcholine doon sa katawan ng pasyente mo. Always remember, lahat ng sobra, masama. So kahit may myasthenia gravis yung pasyente mo, hindi pa rin maganda na madami siyang acetylcholine sa katawan kasi magka-cholinergic crisis din naman siya. Okay? So ang patient natin na pwedeng at risk for cholinergic crisis is yung mga pasyenteng masyadong madaming iniinom na anticholinesterase. May kabaliktaran naman yan, your myasthenic crisis. Kapag myasthenic crisis naman, ito naman yung mga pasyente na hindi umiinom ng kanilang anticholinesterase medications or doesn't take meds or underdosage. Okay? 11 is letter T. Screenshot this in 1, 2, and 3. Okay, this is the major difference between your myasthenia gravis and your myasthenic crisis versus your cholinergic crisis. Kung mapapansin nyo dito, myasthenic crisis is due to under medication. Cholinergic crisis naman is due to your over medication. Screenshot this table in 1, 2, and 3. Next, your home health nurse providing care to a patient with myasthenia gravis. Today, you plan on helping the patient with bathing and exercising. When would be the best time to visit the patient to help with this task? Now, ang problem kasi natin for myasthenia gravis, meron kasi silang profound weakness due to the decreased level of acetylcholine in their body. Since meron silang profound weakness, mas magandang activities nila in the morning. Bakit? Kasi well-rested na sila in the evening. 'Di ba? Kakagising ng pasyente mo, well-rested yung muscles niya, madami pa siyang energy, mas madami pa siyang energy at at mas madami pa siyang strength to do bathing and exercising. Kaya usually ang patient nating may myasthenia gravis, sa morning natin sila pinapag-exercise, pinapakain kasi malalakas pa sila. Okay? Number 12 is letter P. Screenshot this in 1, 2, and 3. Next is your Parkinson's disease. A patient who is diagnosed with Parkinson's disease states, I can't tie my shoelaces anymore. The healthcare provider recognizes that the patient's problem is due to the deficiency in which of these neurotransmitters. Always remember, kapag Parkinson's disease, meron silang mababang dopamine. Number 13 is letter C. Bibigyan ko kayo ng memory trick para mas madali niyong maintindihan or ma-memorize ang neurotransmitters niyo. Okay? This is your neurotransmitters. We have your dangsamad. Okay? We have your dopamine, acetylcholine, norepinephrine, GABA or your gamma-aminobutyric acid, and your serotonin. Now, kapag mataas ang dopamine, ang problem ng patient mo is schizophrenia. Kapag mababa ang kanyang dopamine, ang problema ng patient mo is Parkinson's disease. Kapag naman mababa ang acetylcholine ng pasyente mo, ang problem ng patient mo is Alzheimer's disease. Kapag mataas ang norepinephrine ng patient mo, ang problem niya naman is mania or manic ang patient mo. Kapag mababa naman ang GABA, di ba? Mababa ang GABA, tumataas ang kaba. That is your anxiety. Okay? Ang serotonin naman, pag mababa, usually depression ang nagiging sakit ng pasyente mo. Okay? Screenshot niyo ang neurotransmitters for you to easily memorize the different neurotransmitters in the body. In 1, 2, and 3. Okay, next 13. When planning care for a patient diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, which of these patient outcomes would receive priority in the patient's plan of care? Now, ang mga patient natin na may paralytic disorder, dapat we maintain independence for as long as possible. Okay, your answer is letter D. Toileting and bathing independently. Always remember, basta mga neurodegenerative disorders, Alzheimer's disease, mga Parkinson's disease, ang isa sa mga priority talaga natin dyan is your self-esteem. Okay? So kapag kaya pa nilang gawin yan ng mag-isa, hayaan lang natin silang gawin yan mag-isa. The moment natutulong na lang tayo kapag hindi na nila kayang mag-isa. Okay? Kasi gusto lang nating ma-maintain yung kanilang self-esteem. Okay? Basta mga ating neurodegenerative disorders, always remember they have to maintain their independence for as long as possible. Number 14 is letter C. Screenshot this in 1, 2, and 3. 15. A patient who has been prescribed the anti-Parkinsonian medication carbidopa levodopa asks the healthcare provider, why am I getting this two medication? Now, always remember, ang ating drug of choice kasi for Parkinson's disease is actually your carbidopa. Sorry. It's your levodopa. That is the drug of choice for Parkinson's disease. Okay? From the word itself, levodopa. Dopa, that is our synthetic dopamine. 'Di ba? Ang problema kasi natin for Parkinson's disease, mababa ang kanilang dopamine. So magbigay tayo ng gamot na may mataas na dopamine para lang baliktarin natin yung Parkinson's disease. Okay? Now, bakit usually sinasama niya kay carbidopa? Okay? It is because the carbidopa prevents the breakdown of levodopa, or technically carbidopa increases the half-life of levodopa. Okay? Kapag levodopa lang kasi ang binibigay natin sa pasyente, mabilis lang kasing clinic-clear yan ng katawan natin. Or ini-eliminate din yan ng katawan natin ng mabilisan or mabilisan ng kanyang half-life. Pero kapag tayo nagbigay tayo ng carbidopa, pinapatagal niya ang effect ng levodopa sa katawan ng pasyente natin.